All right, looks like it's 4 o'clock. John, go ahead and get started if you call roll.
Yes, and in regard to roll call, we are aware that Carrie Harpster and Maggie Yelm will be gone today. Both Carrie had an illness, and Maggie is traveling today, so that we have the 4 members that are existing right now. And we could move on to the first item in 2.1.
Item 2.1, approval of the minutes from the January 10th, 2019 regular meeting. Does anybody have any comment? Did everybody get a chance to read those?
Yes.
Any comments, any corrections?
None for me.
Everything look good? Then I would entertain a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the January 10th, 2019 regular meeting.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to new business. Seeing no public here to address us, I guess we don't have any public hearing items. So we can move on to 3.1, presentation of the 2018 DRB annual report. John, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. As you recall, each January we do summarize our reports and the number of meetings we've conducted over the previous year. And it has been quite a busy year for 2018. As you can see from our report here, you conducted 17 regular meetings of the board and had a total of 29 individual design review applications. 23 of those was certificate of compatibility design cases, and 5 were miscellaneous cases, which involve things like sidewalk dining or the existence and placement of outdoor furniture, as well as some of the streetscape improvements. So we did have a number of those. The Design Review Board did review a proposed design for the conversion of the former School of Specialty Office Supply into the Old Chicago restaurant at 214 South Santa Fe. And that restaurant has opened its doors. And as far as their sidewalk dining, that was an extra application that was miscellaneous to allow them to get a license agreement to exist out in the public sidewalk for sidewalk dining. And this also applied to a review of a project at Blue Sky Brewery at 116 North Santa Fe, which also wanted to put a sidewalk dining out on the sidewalk themselves. So once the streetscape improvements are done, both plan to open those sidewalk dining applications. In the case of Old Chicago, they'll be moving what is now sheltered under that overhang of their building out onto the sidewalk, and then reemploying that other space as a sheltered seating. So we'll see that going out as a sidewalk once warmer weather does come. So you did review the proposed demolition of the former Bank of America Drive-In, which has been converted into a 68-space parking lot behind that School of Medicine building in Phillips Plaza. And that's intended to serve the Alley Recreation Center and nearby businesses such as the Sunflower Bank, the Field House. And we did review the proposed exterior renovation of the Sunflower Bank Drive-In building at 176 North Santa Fe. And that project is underway, where the Sunflower Bank is using more of their corporate colors to do facade treatments that are warmer and more in tune with what they have as their business model. We expect that to be continuing approximately another 2 months. You do have 7 members usually on the Design Review Board. We are currently at 6 members, but we do have a member, Haley Helzer, who's going to be reappointed in the case of Tyler Paulson's position, and that will probably take place later in January. The appointments are done at the City Commission meeting by the mayor. Staff has assisted you with the applications through the years, and we want to touch on goals and objectives, but we do first want to just kind of summarize what we do have for miscellaneous cases, and that in our staff report. The Homewood Suites and project is now distant to us, so we're kind of moving into a new set of work here. But we did cover the opening and the work at both Blue Sky Brewery, Old Chicago. We did have signs as well as awnings occur in the downtown. In the case of Tyler Gallery with Seraphim Bread, his is going to go up once construction ends at the Spillman Plaza in that location. And the rehabilitation of 135 and 131 South Santa Fe, which was the former Jilka buildings, for a performance activity fitness center, and then a retail on the other side, with objectives of putting loft apartments in the upper spaces. So one side, 135 is complete, 131 has a bit more to go, and we're following up with that staff there. We did do a sidewalk sign application for Spark Artist Resource Exchange, and we asked you to review a text amendment that would allow your administrative staff to do movable signs and outdoor furniture in the future, as well as establish those in public alleyways where that would help locate and attract people from the rear of the buildings. We had a canopy improvement at the Assurance Partners property, as well as the Smokey Museum with outdoor furniture. And we met most recently with the City Public Works Department on that to look at the overhead crosswalk structures, the design of those, and we were able to provide comments on the 2 proposed design changes back at our October 26th meeting. That followed with the Public Works Department, and that was doing a small pocket park on the north side of the Ad Astra building, and city crews are currently under construction right now, weather willing on those. Lately, we've done a security fence behind Vernon Jewelers, as well as some of the work, which is a proposed demolition and off-street parking spaces on a project we're looking forward to completing, and that's the H.D. Lee warehouse complex. And then a smattering of signs that we'll be seeing coming up here. So we had a very full year, but we do want to have you look over the material we've submitted, do very well, and see if the contact information is correct on that, whether your memory of the attendance kind of jives with what you had. We go back over our meeting minutes and try and do that very exactly, but sometimes mistakes can happen. I do want to outline what we have for goals and objectives this year, and we'd also like to hear from you on some additional items if you have something that you think might be suitable for coming to the design board, or our way of promoting that. Please give us suggestions. But the examples we've had to date on downtown redevelopment was the Alley Entertainment Center, Homewood Suites Hotel, and the Old Chicago Restaurant. The future projects we'll be looking forward to are the Car Museum on the 4th Street and 5th Street, in the former recycling center, and the Steeple Theater renovations, which are right now finishing on the outside, but they will be doing some on the inside as well. They do plan to work into having an electronic reader board somewhere on the south facade of the theater at some point, and that may come back to you as a sign. We've looked at the conservation and reuse of significant and historic properties in the downtown, and I think we're doing a remarkable job, as well as Jacob Wilson's buildings on 131 and 135. We will be seeing some work at 144, which is the Heather Smith building at the Spark Exchange Center. We're having a busboom and rod doing the outside of that building and sprucing it up, so you'll be seeing that changing. What they have at this point is they're going to go back in and clean it with a historic preservation masonry consultant who is Mid-Continental Restoration out of Fort Scott, and they've done projects in Salina like the Steeple Theater, Memorial Hall, United Methodist Church, and a Masonic Temple, so they're a good choice. So you will be seeing some of the repair of the damaged fixtures and features on the building that were damaged by that porcelain veneer fascia that they had for a long time on that building. So you've hit kind of a spell there where you didn't see any activity, but we expect to see that improvement starting taking place in the spring of this coming year. So, and you have assisted us with the coordination of movable signs and outdoor furniture, and assisted us with a review of sidewalk dining applications in the Downtown Business Improvement District. We would like to continue to integrate our design guidelines for downtown Salina and design review matrix, as well as tweaking and improving the guidelines themselves to be more specific to some of the downtown improvements and large projects we've been seeing. And we'd also like to continue to provide for timely review of projects submitted to the board and its administrative staff. So we've jotted some of our goals and objectives down, but we certainly want your comments on those, or if you have new ones to suggest for staff, we'd really appreciate that as well. So at this point, staff will open it up for the board.
Okay, thank you, John. Does anybody have any discussion about the goals, anything to add?
No, I think it's been a great year. Yeah,
I do too.
a lot of things happening. Changes.
John, is there going to be, we'll have some training coming up again this year, won't we, like we had last fall?
I believe we will.
Okay.
We touched on ethics when we had our previous one back there in October, but it's something we plan to do yearly, is bring in various projects. Sometimes they may be in other cities to see if they can kind of tweak the ideas and some of our procedures. We'd certainly be open to your engagement in those and participation, and we'll try and be scheduling those within 2019, at least one of those.
Okay.
So,
I think everybody on the board was at that ethics training, weren't we?
I believe so. A great deal of us were. We have several new members, so we want to include them in the next one as well.
Right.
But the ethics is kind of going through our city boards, and that was something that we wanted to bring up because it's always good to know procedures in case we do get something thorny.
No, I didn't see anything to add in the goals, really.
I don't know. I didn't see anything to add. No. Do we need to have a motion to approve it? Or?
No, I don't think we're required to
Well, on
motion to
the
approve the goals, are we?
on our annual report, yeah, it would take a motion to approve
Okay.
and a second to move that on, and we will present that to the city commission with our other board reports. It's a required step during January.
Are we approving the report or just the goals?
It would be the whole report. If you see anything that need to be revised, changed in some way, you can certainly alert us to that, but if you're pleased with what you see ahead, you can certainly move to approve it.
Well, I would move to approve and accept the 2018 Design Review Board Annual Report as presented by John Berker.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Sure.
I would like to make one comment, though, too, John, on goal number 6, that I've noticed that we have, it seems like there's a very good, I think a proper amount of time between when the applications come into the office and we see them as a board. I think that's improved from the first year I was on here. Seems like we're seeing them a lot quicker than.
And we strive to do that as well. We have a software system set up, and it's been online here for about 6 to 8 months, and that allows us to go in and manually check off the projects and the various steps in that, and that's made the time frame go down fairly low. Since the board meets every 2 weeks, it is possible for a project to have to wait up to 3 weeks, and that's why sometimes we'll have a 5th Thursday in a month and take advantage of that. But we are trying to have those done quickly. The biggest component of that is actually a public notice, which has to go out 7 days ahead of the meeting. That's required by state statute, and that kind of affixes when our meetings take place, but we're always trying to hurry those if we can.
Well, thank you. It makes our life easier, I believe.
Sure.
Like I said, I would
And-
like to commend you and the rest of the staff that, and I have noticed that on the dates of the application submission to the date that we see it has shortened dramatically in the last, well, since I've been here a couple years, so job well done.
Thank you. The staff does want to finish with one item here, and after that we can go to public forum or adjournment, but we do meet occasionally on fifth Thursdays of months, and we have had one of our previous applications come in, the Alley Entertainment Center. They wish to modify their site plan over there as previously approved by Design Review Board during 2018. They had a 20-foot public alleyway that was going east-west between Santa Fe and 5th Street, and that was behind the main alley building itself. That area back there has been their rear yard. It's more from originally going to be public parking to staff parking. They didn't want to proceed with that, and as far as the driveway that spans there, they felt it wasn't necessary at this time. It was a concern for the fire department. They can usually want access to a building that's no more than 150 feet from the street, and they've worked with the alley, and they've got sufficient distance there that they don't actually need that driveway behind the building itself. So they want to just go ahead and restore that to a grassy area once construction is finished. There'll be a 5-foot sidewalk at the rear of the building for access, and then the rest of that will be a grassy area that will be maintained until they do have plans. And what they have mentioned is possibly doing parking back there at some point, or even possibly an expansion of the building itself. But the timing on that was such that it came in, and we would have to, we did have time to get it on today's meeting, but we do want to schedule it for Thursday of next week, the 31st. And you'll get an agenda from us tomorrow on that. So we'd be glad if you plan ahead for that. So.
All right, thank you, John. Seeing no public, I'm going to assume there's not going to be a public forum. Does anybody have anything to add? Anything to discuss? None? Well then, I would be ready to accept a motion that we adjourn if someone would like to.
I move that we adjourn the meeting today.
I second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and meeting is adjourned.